What's good, Finn Nation? What's good? It's Monday, the day after a loss, and while some people are out here trying to spin their narratives because they're more worried about their egos than they are about the logo, Tua Tagovailoa is still my QB1. He's still my franchise quarterback, and he's still the future of this franchise moving forward. I don't care what anyone says, all right? You know what? The All 22 came out earlier. Shout out to Justin in the comments right now, because guess what? Y'all don't know what it is over here. It's All 22 or nothing, and the All 22 ain't lying right now, because, I mean, we'll get into the exact individual pressures in a little bit, but guys, in case you didn't know, y'all remember yesterday how excited I was to see those pressure numbers come out and hit the internet. Well, they hit the internet at about 10:30 a.m. And I don't know if you saw it, but I was one of the first people to tweet it out in terms of Dolphins Twitter in the Dolphins community. And guys, I mean, it was unbelievable. We had 21 total pressures against. To put things in perspective, in Tua's first 3 games, our offensive line only allowed 15 pressures total. We had 21 pressures against in one game. You know why? If y'all listen to the finish line, what did Richmond Webb say after the Jets loss? He said Greg Williams has now laid the blueprint. He's laid the foundation on what you can do against this offensive line, specifically the right side on the offensive line. And that's what you did. I mean, someone, and shout out to Justin's Pro Football Scouting analysis, because someone in one of the threads I started today dropped a clip. And I mean, he was just talking about Ted Karras. Looked like the pressure, he thought the pressure was on Ted Karras, when the pressure was clearly on Eric Flowers not being able to handle the edge, who shot inside, wrapped his arm around him. The edge was basically shooting for the A gap, put his arm around him, and Tua, by the time Tua did his drop back, he hopped to the top of his drop and actually made a read. And you see the front of his body start to get into a throwing motion like he's going to throw the football. But what happens? Eric Flowers didn't have his base set, was getting pushed back into a back pedal like it was no problem, all the way back, not only back with the pocket, pushing it back, but right into the passing lane. You can literally freeze frame it, and Tua's eyes are locked there, and here come the two bodies. The defender coming hard. And on the same token, I pointed out when this guy brought this up, I provided the still from the clip, and I also provided Kinley, number 59 on Denver, off their left side, our right side. He basically looped on a stunt all the way from the edge into the A gap, and no one could handle him. Kinley was already engaged. Like, that's what I'm telling people. Like, they were sending like 4 or 5-man pressure. They were getting continuous pressure on us. They literally just did what Greg Williams did against us with the Jets in that second half adjustments when our offense got shut down. All they started doing was sending 5-6-man pressures with loopers on stunts and twists. And we can't handle it because even our guards, they don't have the feet. Okay, like we don't have the footwork. You see problems if you watch the All 22 on pulling, but you see this too right now. It's happening with getting off blocks because these guys are delaying, right? Getting them out wide, gap opens up, then they're shooting. These guys are like so engaged and out wide, they don't have the footwork to get back quick enough, and the gap shot, and there you go, you got a problem. So, I mean, that's what's going on right now. Just a little tidbit. With the offensive line, we'll get into it, but 21 pressures. I want y'all to put that in perspective. That is unbelievable. That is like outrageous. And we'll get into it in a little bit here. I hope everyone's having a good Monday night. I hope everyone is having, as good of a Monday night as you really can, right? After this kind of loss. But, what's crazy is people aren't even realizing that we're about to face Greg Williams, who, Greg Williams did did really, really well against us in that second half a couple weeks ago with Fitz. And another thing we'll get into when we get into the next gen stats, I mean, people are saying Tua was holding the ball too long. Okay, well, he's holding it, I believe, if you go to the next gen stats right now, I think on average, his average of holding it was about like 2.87. Let me just confirm it so I'm not telling y'all the wrong one. Time to throw. I'll just go right here. There you go. So he was 2.84 average time to throw. Ryan Fitzpatrick was 2.3 seconds in terms of time to throw. He's getting it out quicker. But the other thing you guys will notice too, if you watch the all-22, all of a sudden those empty sets became used more because they were trying to spread out the pressure. So, it just people are just acting a fool right now over this Tua stuff. Like it has to be Tua's fault. I'm telling you, man, that offensive line, you watch that, and we'll get into, guys, remember that all 22 breakdown with me and the homie Mr. Ballgame will be coming tomorrow. And guys, y'all will see it for yourself. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see it for yourself, and you're going to be like, oh, that's what happened. I mean, the kid was hung out there to dry. Anyways, I want to shout out everyone who's jumped in right now. We'll get into all this later on too. Shout out, and everyone's gonna be wondering where Rhino is tonight. Shout out to Rhino. I guess that new World of Warcraft DLC came out, so he's deep on orcs and ogres right now. So shout out to Jason Greaves. Shout out to Vickin, KL Day, Ronnie, Omar, Marino's Goat, Tommy, Poseidon, Camper John, Sharif, Justin, what's good, homie? Oz, Shade, Brian Terry, Troy Hicks, Chalk Vanilla Straw, what's good? Manuel Rivera, Drew Boo. How's everyone doing tonight? Rob D, Swinging Crypto, T-Bone Steak 09 Iffy, love that. Choo Choo, how you doing, homie? Busso, how's everyone doing tonight? Nico, how you doing, man? Yeah, Raekwon is balling, Nico. That ain't don't doubt about that, man. Raekwon killing it right now. Michael Pulisic, how's it going, man? How you doing tonight? George, how you doing, homie? Jay Bleezy 38, Stanley Smith, Zachary, how you doing, man? So yeah, I mean, we'll get into it tomorrow. You guys will see a little bit more. You'll see it right in your face. It'll be basically undeniable. The other thing too is, and we'll get into it with the next gen stats, guys, is the separation continues to be a problem. The next gen stats came out last night and they made us raise our eyebrow. I watched the offensive snaps today, and the separation was just not there. Like, I mean, I said this weeks ago, right? We need speed. We need natural separators with that yak ability. And I'll keep saying it, man. We don't have a natural separator really on this team right now. We need that. We lack it. We actually should double up on it in this offseason, plus bring Albert Wilson back. Just give us piles and piles of speed, man. Let's look at, I keep saying this, look at Kansas City. All right? They had Tyreek. Sammy, he's not the fastest, but he's quick. He's fast. He's decent. What they do, they doubled up with Demarcus Robinson and McCall Hardman. Two guys who are pretty damn fast. Speed kills, man. I'm telling you, especially with a quarterback that can be in Zachary. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't know whether it's his plant foot right now. I don't know whether it's his lead foot. But whichever foot he has an issue with right now, it was clearly evident again, when I watched the all-22. Some of these misses were just very, very un-Tua-like. And I'm talking even before he was starting to get rattled, too. It just made it worse when he got rattled. But, I mean, like that Parker miss that I keep going back to y'all on the dig route, I believe it was. I believe it was like 2nd and 6 in the first quarter or something like that. And he missed him on the dig route there. Like, that was a big. He never misses that, man. I mean, that was just not Tua. And, I mean, you look at how look how Grant got open on one of those. It was either the fade 9 or that go route. I think it was a fade 9, either the fade 9 or go route along left sideline early on in the game. He got open and Tua like threw it out of bounds. Like, you know, and Nick Proverman says, you know, you have to remember something. This was his first time playing in Denver. The altitude good. You know what? I'll give you that. But God, here's the thing though. If y'all remember, and if y'all have watched my live streams, remember I noticed the week before there were some accuracy issues. And then he popped up on the injury report. Y'all remember I was saying last week during my live stream, even last week he was missing throws that were gimme throws for Tua Tagovailoa. And it was just very, very. And then he'd come back and hit a tight window throw, and you're like, what's going on here? That's not him. And, you know, and then he pops up on the injury report with a foot, and then you got the inaccuracies continuing. So I don't know what's going on right now. He's going to bounce back. Everything's going to be fine. The fact of the matter is, all these people lining up to drag this poor 22-year-old kid, yet they got 15-year NFL veteran expectations of this guy. You know, they're going to be the first one to jock him when the kid starts playing well again. Let's stop lying to ourselves. Joshua Williams with the $5 donation says, just a point for people comparing Tua yards to Herbert. Last 4 games, Herbert has 71 more attempts than Tua. Tua's average is 23 per game, 71 in 3 games. I mean, there you go. And I mean, perfect segue for me, Josh. Let's go even further. Let's dig into the numbers, as I want to call it, all right? Let's dig into the numbers a little bit here, courtesy of Matty Infante from Pro Football Network. Shout out to everyone on Pro Football Network because they do some good stuff over there. I got some decent people that I really like over there, so shout out to what they're always doing. They always treating me good. You know, let's roll into it because, I mean, this is the reality. And he called it fun with stats. So here you go. First 4 career starts. Russell Wilson had a 60% completion percentage, 5.94 yards per attempt. Okay, that's per basically pass attempt. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 73.5 rating. Andrew Luck, 54.2%, 6.82 yards per attempt, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 77.1 rating. And we all remember Andrew Luck had a terrible offensive line. Kyler Murray, who had a terrible offensive line last year, 62.7%, 6.34 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 78.8. Burrow, 65.5%, 6.33 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 89.7 passer rating. And here you go, Tua Tagovailoa, 61.1%, 6.24 yards per attempt, which we can all agree a lot of that number is lower by design thanks to Gailey's play calling at times. 6 touchdowns. Look, he's the only one without 0 touchdowns. I don't care if they've been called back or not. Show me what counts. Don't give me ifs and buts because I'm not here talking about candies and nuts and how everything could be merry. Show me what actually matters in the column, you freaking stat watchers, because that's all you are who are out here. Oh, it's the quarterback's problem. All right. So here you go. What are you going to do when you stat watchers when that stat doesn't line up for you right now? Oh, and here's another one. By a wide margin. By a wide, over almost a full 11 points. Tua is the only one out of these 4 names. 1 has Super Bowls. 2 probably would have went to the Hall of Fame when he would finish out his career and was stuck behind this offensive line that's there now, but the damage is done. 3 just came off a Rookie of the Year season, and they're making noise in a really hard division. 4, honestly, I kept telling y'all, to me, was more impressive than what Herbert was doing because of how bad his offensive line was, okay? And then 5, here's our boy, the only one in triple digits. Holla at me. Holla at me. Because I see Super Bowl on this list, and, oh, look at that. Every statistical category, he's beating the guy who's won a Super Bowl in his first 4 games. But Tua's a bust. Gotta get rid of him. Oh my God. This is why context is everything. Because you can see these stats, but we can explain why they're not even better than what they should be. Dude, we had 17 rushing attempts, okay? And we had a terrible offensive line performance this past weekend, just yesterday, but it's got to be on Tua. I didn't know Tua was out here supposed to play guard, was supposed to play tackle. Hell, I don't know what PFF was watching because Karras, I don't know how he got away with the clean sheet because I didn't see that. But, and then you got, I didn't know he was supposed to play every position on the offensive line. Plus, he was supposed to play either tight end, slot, wherever, line up as a receiver and create more than 1 yard on average per route of separation. Because we weren't getting that. I want y'all to realize something, and we'll look at the next gen stats. Y'all want me to hit you with some real facts? Put into how poor the offensive line was earlier. Okay? You know what? Let's get into that right now because I'm going to tangent. So let's put it all right now. Let's keep going. So continuing on, this is how poor the offensive line was, but it's Tua's fault, right? All right? This is how poor. I want y'all to look at this, okay? I want y'all to look at this. Let's start off with the final numbers. 7 sacks, 2 were charged to Tua. So 5 sacks, 7 sacks, 1 hit, 13 hurries, 21 pressures, and 3 flags. But it's Tua's fault, right? Okay, so let's take out Tua's 2 pressures, and let's take out his 2 sacks. Let's keep rolling, okay? Austin Jackson, 2 sacks, 7 hurries, 9 pressures, and a penalty just for the cherry on top. The guy hasn't got his base strength. Me and Justin were talking about it earlier. He's got problems with guys coming across his face. What you saw yesterday was what I kept telling y'all you saw from Julian Okwara do to him at Notre Dame. What you saw Bradley and I do to him. It happened multiple times. It wasn't about guys with speed or bend. It was guys with power coming across his face. Can't handle it. So, I mean, either that hasn't changed, which the tape usually doesn't lie, or you're going to use the excuse he hasn't got back his strength, even though we're this much removed and maybe he came back earlier. If you want to use the maybe he came back too early, I'll give you that one. If you want to use the tape, I'll give you that one. Okay? But, I mean, let's keep it rolling. Eric Flowers, 3 pressures, 1 sack, 2 hurries. Okay? Robert Hunt. Dude, we had 65 snaps. Offensive snaps. Okay, guys? Robert Hunt only had 34. And he still allowed 2 hurries, 2 pressures, and had a flag. Solomon Kinley, again, having a problem with those loopers, man. 2 sacks and 2 pressures. All of a sudden, this has become a consistent thing with him. Since Hunt was in, he's been struggling, and he hasn't kind of regained his footing. Jesse Davis, 1 hit, 1 hurry, 2 pressures. Okay? Absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I want to know who people are making the excuses for right now. Is this Tua's fault? Is this Tua's fault? These flags, 21 pressures, 13 hurries will take away, 19 pressures and 5 sacks because we'll take the 2 and 2 away from Tua. That still doesn't help the situation. That's ridiculous. Guys, Emmanuel Ogbah going into the game last week had 40 pressures on the season. 40 pressures on the season. This team got half that in 1 game. And they're not as elite. I'm trying to explain to you. This is why the Rams, they had more elite talent, but they didn't follow Greg Williams' game plan to a T like they did yesterday with all the stunting, twisting, and the loopers, man. 5-man pressures, we couldn't handle. 4 or 5-man pressures against our 5, we couldn't handle it. It was ridiculous. That's why at halftime I said the 12-man personnel was working. Go back to that or spread them out. They didn't start spreading them out until Fitzpatrick came into the game. And then you go look, Fitzpatrick was just getting it out quick because he recognized, oh crap, the play in front of me is very poor. So, I mean, and let's not kid ourselves. Gesicki made a very, very nice catch on that one big play on that drive. I mean, and what do you think's going to happen? Yeah, what do you think's going to happen this week when we have to face the Jets and Greg Williams, the man who laid the blueprint that the team just executed us on, sees this? And here's the best thing about this. It gets even better because I don't know if y'all have seen it yet, but let's show y'all what happened just not too long ago. The Miami Dolphins have placed Jesse Davis on the reserve COVID-19 list. And guess what, guys? He's going to miss the game. From what I understand, he has it. He will miss the game this Sunday. So Robert Hunt's going to be back in there. And Greg Williams is just going to feast. And here's the thing. People want to, why am I so hard on Chan Gailey? Okay? This is going to be a disaster too, guys, by the way. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm forewarning you. Unless they don't get their ish together real quick, this is going to be a disaster now with Jesse Davis out too. Because he's one of our better communicators, believe it or not. Whether you want to believe it, that's up to you. It's a fact, okay? So let's put that aside for a sec. Let's keep it rolling here. Because it gets worse, guys. I want y'all to realize something right now, okay? I don't want to hear, 2.83 seconds, all this ridiculous thing. Here's the problem, okay? You got a guy who's had an aggression rate of 40%. And what that means is 40% of his throws were in windows of 1 yard of separation or less. Okay, that's not good. Just so everyone knows, that's not good at all. All right? But here's your problem. Why is Chan Gailey having two under center, continues to sit in the pocket when we're not rolling out on bootlegs? We're not throwing quick passes, which are slants, bubble screens, low drive, drags. Just get the ball out quick so we can develop a rhythm and get some comfort going. Just go quick, rhythmic passing like what the Patriots do to you. Like what Fitz started doing when he comes in. Give him low slants, quick snap routes, get him out in open space, design stuff. Bunch guys, manufacture space in the flats for someone on a flat route and they can take it to the sideline. Get creative. The play calling's so freaking archaic and predictable, man. I saw someone today on Twitter said it and then I confirmed it on the All-22. I only saw two design. Someone said it. I forget who said it. There was only two design, and I did confirm it when I watched the All-22 today because I watched all the offensive snaps before I went live. There was only two designed run, bootleg, rollout plays for Tua all game. When you have this pressure coming, rolling out bootlegs, those screens, those quick passes, those bubble screens, that's how you get things moving, man. When all this pressure is coming, you can't handle it. Especially in the All-22 confirmed what they said about the 40% aggression. The windows were not there downfield. That's why you saw him holding the ball. So, I mean, what's crazy too is what people are forgetting. If you look at the few snaps Fitz was in to compare to when Tua was in there, Denver brought at least 5 on most Tua Tagovailoa dropbacks, along with numerous stunts, twists, like I've told y'all about. And, it was something that it was basically Greg Williams they heightened it a little bit. And the stunts and the 5+ rushes more or less stopped. You saw them basically come to a halt when Foots took over. The pressure wasn't coming as much. There weren't loopers to deal with. So, it's unbelievable right now. There was just so many problems. You had bad play calling situationally. Inexcusable. We only had 7 run. I mean, we have a drive where we pass, run, pass. What are you doing? So I just it's crazy too. And I don't even want to hear the fact of, he held the ball too long. Da, 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 da. Okay, well, Baker Mayfield held it for 3.56 seconds on average. Carson Wentz, 3.21. Matt Ryan, 3.05. Russell Wilson, 3.05. Derek Carr, 3.05. Deshaun Watson, 3.04. Kyler Murray, 2.98. Cam Newton, 2.96. Kirk Cousins, 2.93. Lamar Jackson, 2.89. Patrick Mahomes, 2.88. Oh, Drew Lock, 2.84. The same as Tua. Should I continue? It's just absolving of how poor the offensive line play was and the lack of separation created by our receivers yesterday. It's ridiculous. And it's like, this kid's got to feel the blame for this, man. Like, come on, man. Watch the tape. The tape don't lie to you. Yes, he was inaccurate. Okay, I'm not disagreeing that. I've been saying that since last week I saw him missing gimme throws, which is why I've been wondering if there's something wrong with his foot. If it's the plant foot or the lead foot, it's got to be something wrong. So, but I mean, I don't know. It's just it is what it is. Everyone wants to just, take it out and put it on this kid's shoulders. 22-year-old guy, who everyone's treating like, like he's some 15-year-old vet. But I mean, hey, do what you got to do. If that helps you sleep at night, bashing this kid who I've just shown you through his first 4 games. Look at how many quarterbacks that you would probably take on your team today that they had, some of them had good first 4 games, but they weren't as good as Tua's. And here's another thing. And we're holding them back. So, I mean, we're not even out here unleashing the kid. The kid only had 20 pass attempts yesterday before he got yanked. So, I mean, people don't realize you got a guy out here who he's seeing this kind of pressure, 21 total pressures. He's seeing all this pressure in his face. He's dealing with something with his foot, whatever the case may be there, because it was evident last week I was pointing out he's missing some gimme throws. He's dealing with that, can't get into a rhythm, can't get comfort. He's got separation problems downfield with his receivers. I mean, y'all will watch the All 22 tomorrow and y'all see exactly what I'm talking about. But I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and because the fact that 40% of his throws came with with receivers that had under a yard of separation, that's ridiculous. I don't think people actually put that shows the lack of separation that was going on yesterday. So I mean, I don't know. And I mean, you even look at his, if you go look at his adjusted yards per attempt so far this season, his adjusted yards per attempt is 7.4, which is, you compare that to Burrow, he's 6.7. And I mean, you look at his adjusted net yards per attempt, Tua has 6.16 compared to Burrow's 5.72. So, I mean, just people got to realize the separation. There's multiple issues right now with where this team's at. So we've got between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa guys, if you go by next gen stats, Tua Tagovailoa is number 2, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is number 4, and Joe Burrow is actually number 3 in aggression percentage this year. And that basically tells you the lack of open receivers. So, I mean, because again, aggressiveness attracts the amount of passing attempts a quarterback makes that are into tight coverage where the defender is within 1 yard or less of the receiver at the time of the completion or incompletion. So it accounts for completions as well. And when you look at separation this year, guys, Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki are both averaging about 1.9 yards of separation on the routes, and Preston was only averaging 2.2. I mean, that's not very good. And they've got pretty big cushions. So, I mean, there's issues, guys. And there's stuff that needs to be addressed here. And that's why I keep telling y'all, and I have been telling y'all, and that's why you saw on my list, the receiver friendly. We need natural separators. A Rondell Moore, a Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, just because of the chemistry and because of how good and reliable he is. He makes a lot of sense. We need speed, man. We need speed and sure hands. And we need some height because, you've seen at times, whether it's an overthrow or whatever, or leading him too much, him and Grant have a little bit of a, first of all, when him and Grant get their timing down, but you can tell he's adjusting to his size. Tua is still adjusting right now because it's one thing that he's as fast as a Bama receiver. He's nowhere near the height of a Bama receiver. So he's just adjusting to that right now, but he'll get better. It'll happen when everything clicks. It's going to be magic. You all know it. I know it. It's just a matter of time. So people just need to stop. This kid didn't put you in a bad position yesterday, a position to be non-successful in terms of turning the ball over. But when the players around him weren't putting him in, and sometimes the play calling itself wasn't putting him in a position to be successful. People got to take that into account. So, I mean, all of a sudden, the play calling and the blocking and the receiver's lack of separation gets thrown out of the window because it's Tua. He got picked number 5. Me and others, hyped him up with our evaluation. So he's got to be he's got to be coming out of the gate putting up ridiculous numbers. And there's another thing. How many times do I got to keep telling y'all? We're going more horizontal with our offense. Dude, guys, why was Herbert pedestrian against us? We took away the vertical in the seam game on him. We were forcing him to check down or go towards the sidelines. When he got to the sidelines, he got intercepted. So he's checking down. Tua, we're not going vertical all the time with him. We're looking to go horizontal, then over the top with you. That's why you saw they came out of the gate. We did it with Fitz too, where they'll go over the top with you to test you right away. Because if you look at the past couple of games, we've been keeping it horizontal when you come out of the gate. So, I mean, people got to realize that too, with the more horizontal than vertical based offense, as opposed to a primarily vertical based offense, you're going to, and it's, I mean, are we actually going to sit here and argue who's been, whose weapons we would rather have right now? And I'm talking about just in the receiving core. Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, is a top 8 receiver in the NFL. Hunter Henry is super reliable. Mike Williams can explode at any moment. So it's not like they don't have weapons either, too. So people just need to slow down and take everything into context here. And they retooled their whole offensive line. Bulaga. They also added Trey Turner. They did stuff there. So, and I mean, over the play we've seen lately, I mean, Trey Turner doesn't sound so bad right now. So, I mean, people just need to see right now. Is what it is, though. Yeah, and we do miss Christian Wilkins, Ramon, which I said 2 weeks ago. This was going to be, Finn Boy. All we got is DVP, and the thing is, DVP isn't a natural separator. I mean, he can separate with his routes, but I mean, he's averaging 1.9 yards per separation on the season. I think he had 2.4 yards of separation, average 2.4 yards per separation. But even still, you saw Tua make some throws to him where he was in tight windows. So, I mean, people need to relax right now. Like, if you look at the weapons right now, I mean, even, I mean, I think Baker is better than AJ Green, but let's say, Parker is better than AJ Green, but let's just put Parker and AJ Green together right now. But then look beyond that. Tyler Boyd, right? T. Higgins. You know what I mean? Just until recently, Joe Mixon, and then he just went on the IR. So, I mean, better weapons. And then when Eckler comes back for Herbert, better weapons. You know what I mean? So, I mean, people need to realize here, like, and I agree, Mr. C.W. Brown, Callaway, for his snaps was, he looked good. I'm telling you, I don't know how to say this, guys, but Callaway, Grant, and Parker and Malcolm Perry are the ones who need to be getting the majority of the targets right now and finding their way on the majority of the snaps. Perry looks dangerous and quick every time he gets the ball. But again, the offensive line has to hold up for Tua to even make those throws, right? So, I mean, 21 pressures is unacceptable. 21 pressures, 5 sacks if you take away the 2 they attributed to Tua. 5 sacks and 19 pressures if you take away the 2 to Tua. That is ridiculous for an offensive line that only allowed 15 pressures in the first 3 games. I mean, that's absolutely unbelievable. So, and I hate to be that, I hate to be that guy, but this is a public service announcement, and this is brought to you by the campaign for Steve Sarkisian, Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator 2021. Vote for him in the upcoming election this offseason. Do you want your offense changed? Do you want an RPO-based style offense that predicates the pass based and established off of the run? Do you want us to draft a Najee Harris combined with a Devontae Smith or a Jalen Waddle, adding them to the offense with Tua? Well, why not bring in Steve Sarkisian to be your next offensive coordinator? This message has been approved by the council and campaign for Steve Sarkisian, Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator 2021. Hope y'all like that one. So, I mean, it is what it is. Drew Lock, we got that interception. We got good field position. Tua put the ball in the end zone. We can look at right now about, we weren't moving the sticks. But here's the thing. Look at our efficiency in the red zone since Tua has taken over. We are much better in the red zone since Fitzpatrick. I mean, a la Fitz getting into the red zone interception. Tua gets a chance in the red zone. It's for 6 on that beautiful, beautiful fade route to Devontae Parker. So, yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and drag the kid. It's not my job to do that because I believe in this kid. You know what I mean? I know you could tell it's they're dumbing down, they're scaling back the playbook for him. It's not fully opened up. That's why. Remember, what do you guys remember that I said after the second game when he had that win against Arizona? I said everyone's thinking about the second game, the second start of Tua Tagovailoa's career right now. And I was out here thinking about what's game 2 of year 2 going to look like. Because, guys, he didn't forget how to play football all of a sudden, like what you saw in that Arizona Cardinal game. The light didn't all of a sudden go off, guys. So I want people to realize that. He all of a sudden didn't wake up one morning and forget how to throw a football, play football. All right? So I need people to relax, and I need people to really, really understand that, again, and we got 108 people in the room right now. If you are new here, subscribe. But if you are new to this current stream for your viewing pleasure. 7 sacks, 1 hit, 13 hurries, 21 pressures, and 3 penalties against in our game yesterday. 2 of those sacks and 2 of those pressures were attributed to Tua Tagovailoa. Take those off. 5 sacks, 1 hit, 13 hurries, 19 pressures, and 3 penalties. It don't get much worse than that. Austin Jackson, who had serious problems. Remember, guys, what did I tell you? Go back to the preview show where it was just me on Friday. 6 minutes and about 33 seconds into that, Salvador, who's been in our comments, asked me, what did I think what would be our biggest issue? I posted on Twitter today. I said, if I'm nitpicking, Bradley Chubb against Austin Jackson worries me with how Austin Jackson's been playing since he came back from injury, because Bradley Chubb is a legit player. And here you go. 2 sacks, 7 hurries, 9 pressures, and a penalty for the cherry on top for Austin Jackson yesterday. I don't want to be the one to say I told y'all so, but I told y'all so. Bradley Chubb was a legit issue. And shout out again to me and Justin Pro Football Scouting Analysis. We had the conversation on Twitter today. Can't handle guys coming across the faces. Same thing with Bradley and I, Julian Aquara. So, I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous that people aren't taking this into account right now. You know? I mean, I don't realize, I don't understand what, I mean, again, Don, yeah, look at Peyton Manning had no offensive line. He had no weapons, and he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. And yet he set the single season rookie touchdown passing record. Just saying. And yet he threw more interceptions. Yeah, Justin, I've been on this for Sarkisian thing for like 4 or 5 weeks now. So, and people don't realize, I mean, the guy got 3,500, about 3,495 yards out of Kerry Collins in 2004. Any guy who can get 3,500 yards out of Kerry Collins can get 4,500 yards out of Tua Tagovailoa in the NFL. And people want to hold the Atlanta. You know, people want to hold the Atlanta stuff against him. So, I mean, and I say to those people, if you want to hold his 1 year in Atlanta against him, if we want to hold coaches past against them, then why did New England hire Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick was 36-44 in 4 years as a head coach for the Cleveland Browns in the early 90s. Okay. And he had 1 winning season. And they hired him. Looked like a good move, didn't it? Looked like he got it right. Looked like they got it right. Come on, man. Miss me with that. And if people actually realize Sarkisian, when he was first at Alabama, he wasn't the offensive coordinator like he is right now. So, I mean, he when he went to Atlanta, he was not the offensive coordinator at Alabama before that. Research, people. Now he's been the offensive coordinator for about 1.5 years. Totally different thing. But he knew those players because he was there when they were in the system. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, people need to relax, bro. Like, people need to relax. And here's the thing. I'm going to keep saying it. Cincinnati, I don't care if Zach Taylor thinks he's some offensive genius. They should have ponied up the money for Joe Brady. There's no way Joe Brady should be taking an NFL job the year after winning a championship with LSU and Joe Burrow, okay, and taking an NFL job that is not in Cincinnati. Because first of all, Zach Taylor's offense has West Coast fundamentals, and so does hold on a sec, guys. Give me a sec. Let me change here. Yeah, Zach Taylor, his offense has West Coast fundamentals, but Joe Brady and that New Orleans offense he adapted, brought to LSU, was West Coast as well. So it's just basically Joe Brady's a former receiver. It's just made more to manufacture space for the receivers. Hence why I'm not sold on Jamar Chase. Anyways, that all being said, don't make the same mistake. You can go all in on Tua Tagovailoa. Go all in on Tua Tagovailoa. Draft one of his weapons in terms of receiver. Draft his running back. Okay? Shore up that offensive line. Man, between free agency and the draft this year, we went heavy on defense. Okay? And nose tackle wise, we don't got to worry about nose tackle till the third round. Those first 2 rounds, shore up this offense, man. Get this offense where it needs to be. And here's another thing. Joe Brady came back. Look at how good the Carolina offense is. Even PJ Walker looked good yesterday with them. Steve Sarkisian is a guy who predicates the pass off the run. That's what we want in this culture. Najee Harris is perfect for the system. Keep it rolling. And conceptually, it's not a leap from Chan Gailey to Steve Sarkisian. It's not a big leap. Everyone's worried about what Chan Gailey's predecessor is going to be because we all know he ain't going to be here for 5 years. The guy's going to be here for 2 or 3 years. Offer him, make him the assistant head coach and the offensive coordinator, Steve Sarkisian, right now. Boom. Double titles, double the money, so he can make as much as the head coach does and run it. I'm telling you right now. And then you know what? Flores and Boyer only will have to worry about the defense. Right now, Flores is probably worried like all of we are. He's probably saying to himself, oh my God. You know, infinite trauma. Shout out to the homie. We had to talk about this. And he told me, he's like, Infinite's not out on him. I'm not out on Chan Gailey yet. This is all if Chan Gailey isn't the guy and they come to the conclusion that he's not the answer. Okay? This is all what I'm saying this way. Let me preface all this with. So, even he agreed. Archaic is the right word because there's no innovation. All of a sudden, the Wildcats gone to the wild side somewhere. I don't know. All of a sudden, that's out of the book. And you can run it with Perry. Perry's a better passer than Lynn Bowden. There's just no innovation, especially on third downs. Third downs is just, I've told y'all I've been consistent. When Fitz was in, I've been consistent. I've had gripes. And you know what the problem was? Yesterday, I saw the Patriots game all over again. Got gashed in the run, and then offensively, at times, we were shooting ourselves in the foot with play calling. Now, not to the extent where the defense was on the field so much, and they just wore us down in the third quarter that we barely had any time. But in terms of like basic concepts, it was a lot of similarities. Same thing with Seattle, a lot of similarities to why we couldn't finish or get into the red zone, finish drives. I've gone over this. Chan Gailey was at fault for that. It wasn't just Fitz. Chan Gailey was at fault in that game. How many times have all of us been mad at personnel switches they've done in the running game, starting the second half when a Breda or a Gaskin is hot and then Jordan Howard comes in and you're like, what the hell are you doing right now? You know what I mean? And how many times do we all know what's coming, whether it was Jordan Howard was in, we all predicted run, or whether they backed themselves into where we, like the defense on the field, could pin our ears back and run at them because we know they're passing because they're in third and long because they've done a terrible job of situational play calling. I mean, 17 Rushes yesterday was inexcusable. Yeah, ball game. And here's my thing, ball game. Let me ask you this, ball game. Can I ask you this? Where was the heavy zero blitz and stack in the box yesterday? Where? Make Locke beat you. He can't beat that secondary and man. Are you crazy? If you're going to throw zero blitz and go heavy zero blitz all game, them all day. Stack the box. No problem stacking the box. Come on. Yes, Nico. Judy was locked up. Hamler was locked up. Patrick got open like 3 times, and one of them was on that crazy play at the end of the game. So, and here's my other thing, ball game, and I wish you're on here, my dude. Did they not think that Greg Williams, did they not, ball game, did they not think that Vic Fangio wasn't going to take Greg Williams' usage of the stunts, twists, and the loopers and dial it up a notch? Because he's a defensive mind just like Greg Williams. He's made his whole career off of that. We could put him in the same category as Greg Williams in terms of defensive genius, defensive mind, knows what he's doing. How are you not expecting this? And I said at halftime, spread them out, or because they'd done it a few times in the first half, go back to that 12-man personnel with Shaheen and Smythe because it was working. When we had the 12-man personnel with the extra tight ends, the blocking was better. If that takes Gesicki out of the game plan, gosh darn it, so be it. You know what it does? Protects my quarterback, gives him time to make a read if anyone gets open, and it helps the run game. I can live without Gesicki for 1 week. I've lived without him for how many weeks already in terms of relevancy? I can live with him again. Come on, man. Do I have to literally fill out an application and create a resume for this job opening? I mean, this guy needs to come down. You need to come. I'm sorry, man. He needs to. Oh, man. Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable, man. And y'all was seeing it. See, Andre, it's not Gailey's fine. It's Fitz is getting it out quicker. And if you actually look, if you compare the amount of snaps Fitz had yesterday, okay? So let's compare the snaps, all right? So Fitz had 21 snaps, Tua had 44. Of those 21 total snaps Fitz had, 20 of them were pass play, okay? I can tell you this right now. More than 50% were empty sets. Do you know why? It was empty sets with deep plus underneath routes. You know why? They were spreading the pressure out. So they couldn't send a fifth, or a sixth man. And if they did, they could get burnt quickly over the vacated hole with a hot route. Why weren't we doing that with Tua? Gailey's not fine. Tua has shown he can throw on the run. We had 2 designed plays that were designed rollouts. You need to be quick slants, spreading the defense, okay? You need to be manufacturing with bunch sets. You need to be using 12-man personnel, like I said. The adjustments weren't made they weren't made. They were not made, and the adjustments that were made either weren't sufficient or they weren't well-called adjustments. So, I mean, and then on top of that, you got a defense getting gashed for over 180 yards on the ground. What did I say yesterday? We couldn't win a battle in either side of the football in the trenches to save our lives. What do you think the All-22 told you? And Kinley, it seems Kinley's bad foot that he's been dealing with for a month and a half is getting worse. Because if you look at my film analysis came out before that foot injury. Totally different player. You add in, he looked really poor at times when Hunt was in there. So you got a guy who's already not the most athletic. When you got a foot injury that's bearing all that weight and has to pick up guys off either combo blocks or disengaging off a solo block to pick up a looper on a stunner twist, I mean, what do that's asking a lot. So, I mean, and that's my rant on that. Okay, let's get into the PFF grades, guys. Let's go individually. Again, let's go over the blocking and allowed pressure just for everyone to see one more time because it's so ridiculously inexcusable. Ugh. Soak it in, everyone. Soak it in. It's absolutely disgusting to look at. If you didn't want to throw up after the loss, you should be at least feeling nauseous right now. All right, so let's go we'll start off with the defensive grades because the homie ball game, that's the homie, and, he's the defensive mind, so shout out to him. So Raekwon goes from your second highest graded player and defender last week, overall player and defender, to your top, because that first quarter and a half, he was an absolute animal. So Raekwon Davis was your highest graded player and defender. Xavier Howard was right there, only 0.1 behind him. X having another. He found that 2018 Pro Bowl form. I can't believe people wanted to trade him. Y'all are crazy. Zach Seiler had a great game. Emmanuel Ogbah, even though we really struggled setting the edge, he was top 5. Jerome Baker, he only had 20 total snaps, guys. Jerome Baker. Think about that. One of the lowest snap counts of Jerome Baker's career and the lowest, at least in this Brian Flores. We've seen him get down to about 45%, 40%, late 30%. That is, man, whoo! That is not good, guys. I mean, you got 65 total snaps, and Jerome Baker played less than 30%. So, because to play 30%, he would have had to play about 21 and a half. So, that is not good. So, yeah, and then you go all the way down to the bottom. I don't really look at this, guys. Don't look at Noah. It's only 2 snaps. But Landon Roberts, again, he did struggle at times. The All-22 showed. He did make plays, though, at the same token, too. But he was your lowest graded defender and one of your lowest graded players. Nick Needham, who he made some plays, but at the same time, he got burnt a little bit. He was, if you go by 10 plus snaps or more, he was your second lowest graded. So he struggled. He did struggle at times too, from what the broadcast showed. And just a little bit, I watched all the offensive snaps, just some in terms of all 22, and I watched just some of the defensive snaps. I didn't have all that time to watch. I'll go through that tonight. But yeah, so there you go. And Jamal Perry looked terrible. I mean, even if he had 10 snaps, he did not look good. So, and that's been pretty steady for him this season. And then let's look at offensively, guys. Offensively, this is how we lined up in terms of PFF grades. Devontae Parker was your highest graded, 79.7. Antonio Callaway, second highest, 71.2. Jesse Davis, he was right there. Top 3. Ted Karras, who was clean. He had no pressures, nothing against. Austin Jackson was your by far worst graded. Hunt for 34 snaps managed to be your second worst graded. Tua Tagovailoa and Ryan Fitzpatrick was both pretty low. Eric Flowers, not very good. Let's just put it that way. So when you only have 2 offensive linemen in the 60s, in the high 60s, can't even get in the 70s, not a good day in the office as well. And again, I see the viewer count growing a little bit to 113. So let's remind y'all again, because I don't want to hear the nonsense. It ain't all Tua's fault, guys. For all of y'all that just tuned in, I mean, again, the allowed pressure right here, you can see for yourself. You take those 2 sacks and those 2 pressures off Tua, that's 5 sacks, 1 hit, 13 hurries, and 19 pressures and 3 penalties against from all of our blockers on the offensive line. Just unexcusable. And again, inexcusable, sorry. And you look at our number 18 overall pick, 2 sacks, 7 hurries, 9 pressures, 1 penalty against. Unbelievably terrible. That was the guy I was worried about seeing when we took him at 18. Now y'all know. And hey, whether it's he came back from injury or whether it was Bradley Chubb did a lot similar to what Bradley and I and Julian Aquara had success on him with. So you saw it right there coming across the face. He struggles with it. So it is what it is. And then let's go into the next gen stats, guys. We'll look specifically at Tua Tagovailoa and week 11, just because there is some stuff I just want to show you, because I know you heard me lay out some numbers for you guys, but I want you to see the numbers in front of your face, just so you can realize that reason ain't yanking the old chain. So if we take a look at Tua Tagovailoa's next gen stats, that aggression rate, he was almost by 12 full points, number 1 in the NFL this week. 40% aggression rate. Again, what aggression rate mean, guys, is that's a yard or less separation on the incompletion or incompletion or completion to the receiver thrown to, aka the target. So that is just staggering, guys. That is just absolutely staggering. And what's craziest is that intended air yards on average was higher than guys who were even close to him. So, I mean, he was pushing the ball again. And you look at here, look at Carson Wentz's aggression rate, but look at his time to throw. And here you go. Ryan Fitzpatrick was your number 3 in aggression rate with 27.8%. But look at his time to throw, 2.34. The coverage was really good. Y'all will see it when we break down all that info tomorrow in the all 22. But again, look at these time to throws. I don't want to hear no excuses out here, man. Look at the time to throw with the aggression rate. So, people got to reel and start putting things into context here. It wasn't a good situation in terms of separation shown by this aggression rate. And then, I've already gone over the pressures. You've seen the pressure stats. But, I mean, this kid is, again, he's supposed to do all the blocking. He's supposed to play center, guard, tackle. And he's supposed to actually play wide receiver and tight end as well. He's supposed to be the one out here creating separation. And he's supposed to be the one doing it. No one else. Scott, did they adjust and help Jackson out? They tried, but Eric Flowers didn't have a good game yesterday as well. It was bad. Justin Pro Football Scouting Analysis has watched the all 22 as well, and I know he will vouch for that too. It was bad across the board. It wasn't just a one-man effort. So, I mean, guys, you can't put it all on this kid right now. Okay? If this guy was having clean pockets all the time in the world to throw and you're seeing what you're seeing right now, okay, let's talk. But, I mean, I don't think people realize that, the kid had 26 dropbacks yesterday, all right, if you count the 6 sacks, right? You had no designed rollouts. You only had 2 total. Should have had more, and which plays to his strength, and that'll also help a struggling defense. You had no quick slants, bubble screens, low drives, or drags just to get the ball out quick. Again, you had a lack of bootlegs. You needed to adapt and become a quick rhythmic passing game. And instead, they were giving him developing routes that, with how the pressure was, it just wasn't good enough. So the play calling needs to be better. We're going to have these ups and downs, guys. It's a rookie quarterback. I mean, c'est la vie. This is life, guys. And we're just gonna have to ride these struggles out. So, Havoc says you would think this fan base would realize it's not all about the QB when it comes to winning, especially after watching Marino's career. Agree, man. Agree. Don says got to throw quick stuff to the wide receivers out of bunch sets when you're getting manhandled up front. Agreed, man. Agreed. Out of those bunch, use 2 on basically takeaway routes that take the coverage with them, and then send that third guy either on a drag, right, on an in route, or send him out into the flats on a flat route or a speed out, something like that, so he's open underneath with all the open field in front of him because the coverage was taken up. I agree. We do need to see more Callaway, 110%. I agree, 110%. And that's the thing. Here's the thing, Marvin. I'm not going to agree with what you're saying because you're ripping on Fitzy, but I will say, you wouldn't have had that interception from Tua. Tua wouldn't have made that throw. Mr. C.W. Brown, I've been saying this, man. I've been saying we have no natural separators. We got no guys with yak ability. This is an issue, man, especially when you want to go to a horizontal offense, which is what Chan's doing right now. We don't have the personnel right now fully. I told all of y'all this weeks ago. I said y'all had to sit through the turnover of this 4-3 wide 9 offense into a 3-4 base defense. You had to watch that turnover. And, the same thing now has to happen to this. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. Guys, I'm going to stick around for about 25 minutes. I'll open it up to you guys, get your final thoughts. If anyone wants to come on and give your final thoughts, there is the StreamYard link. Come in, come join. We can talk about your final thoughts, whatever the case may be. But, the fact of the matter is I've basically put all the evidence in front of you. I mean, I've put the evidence in front of you to show this does not just land on the shoulders of your quarterback, your 22-year-old quarterback. Michael Pulisic, would I pass on Parsons in the first if he's available? I don't know, man. I keep telling y'all he's an outside in guy. He's going to be off the line of scrimmage, blitzing off the edge. He's a more elite version of Jerome Baker right now. He's not a true middle guy like a Dylan Moses or a Nick Bolton or Chaz Surratt. He's not a true middle linebacker right now. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm really torn right now. Because on one hand, we need to move heaven and earth for Penei Sewell. If we're not there, on the other hand, we need to get protection and one of these Bama receivers and have capital so we can get Najee Harris. So, I mean, that's, I'm torn right now with what my decision would be in terms of what I want to do here. So, obviously I'd take Penei Sewell over anyone in this draft. That's not any question whatsoever. No, Don, if I could spend that second pick on him, that's fine. Dylan Moses, I don't want to spend top 10 pick on. And guys, quick plug, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you'd like to donate to the channel, paypal.me/Finside. You can also donate directly in, you can donate directly through the super chat. And then continuing on here, guys, go to patchvibes.com, use code FINSIDE for 20% off. Right now, I'm wearing the Dan Marino and Duper Brothers design that you can find on patchvibes.com, 20% off. You can also grab official Finside the NFL merch, teespring.com/stores/Finside the NFL. And as always, you can become a Finside the NFL Patreon, patreon.com/Finside the NFL. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, brother, how are you, brother?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Oh man, I'm telling you, this weekend, I knew this was gonna be the trap game because it is what it is. It's the battle of averages. I think we got off to a really good start, just like we envisioned we would get. Got the turnover, got the touchdown, was getting the luck because we got the penalty that wasn't really a penalty to offset the interception. Things were going our way, but again, you said it, man. We don't have the weapons. He was missing downhill when he was throwing it vertically to Grant. If it was Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Preston Williams, he would have made one of those two catches in that first drive. And then who knows how the momentum swings and what type of. But we were just always behind the eight ball, just a little bit, even with Devontae Parker on the second drive, he just barely missed him. And then after that, he got to his head, and he said it himself. He was making mistakes too. He was. There were some throws that guys were open, but they weren't open, but they were open, and he was just a bit indecisive. And they had a terrific defensive game. Like, they gotta give credit to Denver. Like, they were spot on, making our entire offensive line looking like not even college level, right? Like, it was what it was. And then even after all of that, we were still in the game because our defense creates turnovers like it's part of the game plan. Like, it's ridiculous, and we make it happen all the time. Van Ginkel and Van Noy, those guys are like clones. They just know how to get the turnovers. And then our defensive line, again, we don't have the pass rush that, we make it seem like we do, but we really don't. Outside of Agba, we really don't have anyone that can.
Lawson's been good since he came back from injury.
Who?
Lawson's been good since he came back from
injury. Right.
No.
We have talent, no doubt, but we don't have like a guy that can just generate a sack at will. But I think we started well.
That's how his defense is built, right?
Yeah.
This defense is predicated on pressure as a unit, not individual pressure.
Right.
That's how it is in New England too, right? So
and that's how you're good long term too, right? Because you don't want to just rely on stars, and that way you can focus more of your capital on drafting, offensive people like weapons, and then your free agents can be weapons as well. Because if you got a good scheme, you can just get average guys and make them look really good.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, I mean, here's the thing too. I mean, you look at a guy like Dan Orlovsky. This morning, he was telling everyone we made a mistake not taking Herbert. Then, if you look at him on Twitter today, I guess he watched the All-22, or he went back and he watched the broadcast of the All-22, and he basically started saying that it was the offensive line and receivers. It wasn't Tua. Yeah. So, Mr. Ballgame, what's good, homie?
What up, man? How you doing, bro?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Finally here.
So. How you feeling today, brother?
Oh, I'm rested now, man. I woke up. I mean, I slept most of the day, so that trip took a lot out of me, but I'm good, man.
Are you ready for the All-22 tomorrow, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People are like, I gotta ask you, man. What are your thoughts coming out of tomorrow, man?
So, well, from what I gathered, and I got home and I watched the game last night, and then I wrote down some stuff myself. I just feel like for as much success as we had over the last 5 weeks, I think we might have went into this game a little bit ahead of ourselves and forgot the fact that the Broncos are still an NFL team. I always factor in every aspect of. Hold on, let me close this door. Every aspect of what the team traveling to the other team's home has to deal with, and being that I took a group of high schoolers, we went to go play a team up in Colorado. I consider my boys to be hella conditioned because that's all we did. We wanted to be on the field longer than anybody, especially my defense. But that altitude is something different up there. Now I'm not gonna make any excuses for the team in terms of them not being physically ready to compete because you were going to Denver, so you had plenty of time prior to get yourself acclimated or even in the best best physical shape you could possibly be. But what I saw yesterday after I got in and I watched the film and I got up this morning and watched again, I saw a Denver team that executed a game plan that had been previously shown to them in regards to the deficiencies that we have up front, and they executed it flawlessly. They sent tech stunts, tackle and stunts at us religiously that we just couldn't pick up because we don't have very athletic guys up front. So we ran into situations where they were essentially getting the guard and the tackle to move off spot and then slow creeping the end back around through the gap and right into his face. And that's going to be,
looping them, baby. We couldn't handle the loopers, right?
That's going to be a common theme until we do, I think, two things. One, leave the tight ends in to block, and then you can delay a tight end to release to the flats if you need a check down. But as long as you got the blocking secured first, the first thing should be inside to outside. That's how they should be looking at the blocking. And if the outside blocker is a tight end, then you can always have that guy hold to help, and then release him late, and then hit him in a soft spot of the zone. But I didn't see any of that yesterday. I saw us trying to conventionally just block their 4 with 5, and then they sent 5. It threw us off completely because sometimes we caught situations where there was 2 guys on 1 guy, which left the looper wide open to come right up the gut and to his face, unobstructed, and that just can't happen. I still been saying all along, right? People wanted to argue with me about this point too, and I heard you mention it earlier. We still don't have the type of playmakers that he needs for this type of offense. Devontae Parker, for all the credit that I want to give him in regards to coming back and shedding the dud label that people had on him, and him finally showing up and being our best receiver. He's still not to me, and never going to be, because he never showed it in college, easily the type of guy that's going to be able to take the top off of defense. So you can scheme against him differently. What you might lose against Devontae is going to be those situations where he's just going to be able to outmuscle a cornerback, or he's going to be able to go up and high point the ball and then make those type of catches. You still need that in the offense. But what we need is guys that can take a 2-yard, 3-yard drag and turn it into a 25, 30-yard vertical route in the midst of the seam. You know what I mean? And they find a soft spot and they get vertical for 25, 30 yards. And we only got 1 guy. We have 2 guys. They need to get Callaway a little more involved. I think Callaway and Grant have that type of speed, but I just don't see them being employed in the offense to prove that. So teams aren't going to at any point respect the fact that those guys are fast. They know Grant's fast, but they don't respect the fact that he could possibly do that because you haven't shown that you're willing to do that with him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And Callaway caught the ball yesterday, but how many times did you see him go back to him?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So for me, Chan Gailey, I do understand that it's a progression thing for him, and I give him, it's like anything else. I give him the benefit of the doubt in regards to the fact that it's been COVID that's hampered his ability to actually implement his offense the way he wants to. Mm-hmm. But in the same sense, to some degree, you got to speed that process up because this is different.
Yeah.
But teams are still going to take what they see on film that you put on film and try to figure out how to exploit that. And if you've shown that all you can put out there is a mediocre product, well, they're going to scheme their defense to be extraordinary and take away your mediocre success. And yesterday, I think what we saw yesterday was the fact that we just didn't have natural separators. Their guys played close to the line of scrimmage. They knocked our guys off their routes. Our guys weren't able to get open, which hence they turned Tua yesterday into what we did to Herbert the previous week. And I have to take my hat off to Fangio, who actually was the architect behind it. They did an amazing job of defending us. And I have to give credit where credit is due. I just feel like Chan Gailey got out schemed yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and how's it going, Joe B? How you doing tonight?
What's up, everybody?
I'm not going to disagree with you at all. Like, I mean, especially when you look at Tua, and you look at how everything went down with those receivers. Here's the thing: we are seeing now. This is the problem when you get teams that scheme you like this and that give your offensive line problems. Another reason why Fitz can get the ball out much quicker, even with pressure coming, is think of how many reps he has with all these guys.
Right.
Tua's just starting to get reps with some of these guys in live action. I mean, he had no preseason games. He was splitting backup reps with Rosen. Whereas, I mean, you are basically seeing the result of, when you're not, I mean, I showed y'all the 40% aggression rate, right? And that shows that 40% of his passes, whether incompletions or completions, were to targets where there was one yard or less separation.
Right.
The thing is, when you've got that chemistry that's built up, it's, you can anticipate guys because you know how they break better. You can know whether they round it out or whether they're crisp on their cuts. You can anticipate, even if that window's tight and that coverage is tight through the whole route, you can anticipate where that coverage is going to be on his break and if you can make that throw or not. He doesn't have that right now. That's something that, Burrow had that with his receivers.
Right.
Herbert, I'm still saying people aren't realizing that what we're doing right now is more horizontal than vertical, whereas Herbert is vertical. We just took away the seams and we took away the vertical looks, and we either forced him to outside towards the hashes, towards the sidelines,
Right.
or check it down, one or the other. And he didn't want to test the sideline because he got picked off, so he turned to check down Charlie. Okay? And that's what happened with him, all right? So Tua, the thing is, Tua can beat you he can beat you on all three levels anywhere.
But the guy's got to win the matchups, though.
Yeah, bro. And especially with what you said, ball game, this is why I've been saying natural separators and guys with yak ability. This is why I'm so torn. Y'all know how much I want Penei Sewell, but I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm all on board with some weapons, like 2 weapons, including Najee Harris, out of those first 4 picks.
I said we throw. I'm gonna be honest with you. I said we throw the.
We got to double up on receiver too.
I say we just throw the kitchen sink at Ramsey out of New Orleans because he'll be up for a contract. And Tyson will come down and that take care of that right side tackle, and then use all our draft capital on the toys for Tua. Because
let me ask you this:
what?
You got DVP, Albert Wilson comes back. You can use one of your picks on a Waddle and Smith. Do you go get a guy like Juju, who's one of the best slot guys in the NFL right now and is one of Tua's best friends? And there's been rumors that they want to play together.
Yeah,
of course, I'll make that pick in a minute. But I totally agree with you in ball game, man. He just don't have the playmakers, and I totally agree with ball game. He said, hey, just because of this COVID, they're gonna give Shane Gailey one more year just because of that. Yep. So we can just stop all that thinking he's gonna leave. But here's my thing. First of all, y'all know I'm out for the smoke. This is this gentleman's first year, and all this stuff in the off season. You can't compare him. We're not as a Dolphin fan, a logical fan base. We're not comparing him to year 3 and 4 with Tannehill. So we giving this kid some leeway, a lot of leeway. You know what I'm saying? But we know he has the skill set. We proved that in these videos we've showed here on this panel. But we also understand that, hey, he's a rookie. That's what ball game used to tell us all the time. He's a kid. That's how ball game talk about these players. They're kids. But we seeing that. But we just know he has the skill set. In year 3 or 4, he should, and he's gonna do better. You know what I'm saying? So we're not saying we don't put like this. We're not gonna crown him. I know I didn't personally crown him, but I know he has the skill set. I know we have the legitimate quarterback that can be our franchise.
Can I say
crowning them. Go ahead.
Can I say this to you, Joe B? Just continuing. And you know what people are forgetting too, Joe B, ball game, Ardit. You know what people are forgetting right now too is if these quarterbacks take away the city, take away the coaching staff, take away all that, just go talent on your offense. You don't think Joe Burrow or Tua are picking Herbert's situation right now?
Yeah.
People don't realize. Take even the defense into account now. That team with Phillip Rivers, a guy with a shot dead arm, was set up to continuously contend. We're in a rebuild, and I don't know what you want to call what they got going on in Cincinnati right now, but let me ask y'all this. Who are y'all taking right now? Our receiving core or their receiving core? And I'm including Hunter Henry and Gesicki.
I'm definitely taking the Chargers core.
Okay. Their offensive line last year wasn't that good. Okay. They went out and they added Brian Bulaga and they added Trey Turner and they retooled that offensive line. That offensive line is now like a top 15, top 20 offensive line in the NFL. We'd probably take their offensive line too right now.
Yes, sir.
Because Brian Bulaga protected Aaron Rodgers for how many years? Especially with a left-handed quarterback, we'd take Brian Bulaga. So, and here's another thing. And when Eckler comes back, we'd all even more take their offense because we don't have an Austin Eckler. So, I mean, and you can tell just right now, that offensive line is making Kalen Ballage look good.
Facts.
Put that if they can make Kalen Ballage look good, you best believe they're going to make Justin Herbert look good. Yeah. Okay? Because Justin Herbert's a far more talented player than Kalen Ballage could ever dream of being. Okay?
I want people to. I mean, like as always, right? I'm obviously, I'm ecstatic about the fact that we actually won now more games than we won last year, right? So that's always progress for me. I've seen a stark difference in this team, competition-wise, than the team from last season. So all of that factors in for me as being positive motivation towards continued long-term success. My thing is, and I'm going to keep saying this, right? And I hope people, I don't want to sound cliche to people, but like we still, if you look at the way this team is built and who's on the roster, we still need help, right? They're going out there and they're giving you the best possible product that they can produce with who we have in here right now. But to get to the level to be able to compete with the Kansas City, right? And, you know, saying the other upper echelon teams that have been dubbed by the NFL and from their previous successes, we still need some pieces. Our wide receiver core ain't scaring nobody, right? I don't care how elite Tua plays. If those guys can't get separation, it takes away from his brilliance. And we need more pieces, right? So I just want people to really take it into consideration because the thing that upset me the most was the comments in the chat where people were calling again for him, calling he was a bust. Man, knock that foolishness off, right? We ran into a buzzsaw yesterday, and the reason you were right, it was without a shout, it was a setup game, man. Unfortunately, and we didn't go in prepared the way we should have to deal with it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a professional football team that still has a lot of moxie and a lot of swagger about themselves. And they ain't just not going to just lay down for anyone. Yeah, they lost some games, but they also got hit with an injury bug that has still seems to not want to left their complex yet. But that don't change the fact that they got professionals. They are professionals. Justin Simmons, top 5. Top 5, you know what I'm saying, in terms of his position. Chubb, without a shadow, I still consider him top 5. You know what I'm saying?
I warned everyone on the preview show. I know you're a traveling ball game. Someone asked me in the comments, and I actually posted on Twitter today. They asked me, what worries you? And I said, if I'm going to nitpick, I said, I don't like how Austin Jackson's playing lately. I said, if he keeps playing the way he's been playing lately, it's going to be a serious issue with Bradley Chubb. And lo and behold, Bradley Chubb is an absolute monster against us, dude.
Yeah. So I think people like, and I want to be fair to our guys. Obviously, I love this team, but in the same sense, we got 2 rookies, and I'm keep saying that we got 2 rookies We got an average left guard, right? Flowers didn't have the best track record when they had him at tackle, and then they moved him to guard. He had one good year, and then we go pick him up. So he still has a lot to prove, right? And then we got 2 journeymen, one at center and one at right tackle, who, without a shadow of a doubt, probably would be backup on any other roster, but we got them starting for us. You factor all that in together with all this foolishness for COVID and all of the lack of preparation, that they actually get to work together, as a group. 6-10, man, we are blessed to be there. To be truthful with you, because ain't nobody taking Dave. Let's be real. Ain't nobody calling asking for Davis, Karras, or Flowers off our roster if they actually looking to come, take some pieces, right?
Yeah.
So
you're not wrong, bro.
Like I said last week, the success that we've had to this point, I think it's been, a monumental performance by that group, considering how bad it could have been. But obviously, yes, it needs to get extremely better in order to get where we can get the best.
Can I say this to you, ball game?
Yeah.
For people who want to look and compare to Herbert too, did you know that Tua averages in his 4 games? If you take he averages 23 attempts per game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert averages 38.89 attempts per game, bro.
Sitting behind a wall.
Buddy, think of it. He's had a game with 49 attempts. He's had back-to-back games of 43 attempts, followed up by a game of 42 attempts. And then he just came off another 49-yard attempt against the Jets. He threw 49 times against the Jets.
Should we be looking past the Jets? Because look what Herbert did to him.
Because of Greg Williams. Because of what Greg Williams.
And that's what I was going to say.
And it's a division game.
Tua shouldn't have put that bulletin board material out there, especially for some Greg Williams. He's going to put it to his defense.
But see, that's the thing, though. I don't think he meant it the way most people took it.
Yeah, but it don't care. Greg Williams going to set it up like that, though. You know that.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad that he said it, but I know, I feel deep down in my soul that that's not what he meant. I think what he was really saying was that based on the fact that, Flores, he has, direct access
to so well prepared, right?
And these guys have done such a great job with this whole COVID situation. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I know he didn't mean it, but I'm saying, you know how crazy Greg Williams is. He got banned. So
it don't take much. It don't take much for any coaches in the NFL to take a little something somebody said and twist it and spin it to use it as motivation. Because at the end of the day, the game is still 90% mental.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know what? Guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm actually worried because you saw the problems he gave us in that second half. And again, we could make the argument, they don't have as much talent on their defense as even the decimated Denver Broncos do.
I got a good question for y'all. I got a good question, though. Is the book out on tour yet?
No. Not even close.
You haven't even seen enough attempts.
Yeah, we haven't even had elite O-line play enough. To actually be able to.
I'm asking. Like this would be Greg Williams' second time, quote unquote. He just got a drive. Do Greg Williams got a book on him though?
No, the book. If he got a book on
the
anybody,
offensive line, it's on the offensive line. Brother.
Exactly. If he has a book on anybody, it's on the offensive line. He don't have no clue about Tua.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you remember, if you actually, and a ball game will appreciate this. If you actually know people who are in legitimate NFL circles, and by that I mean people who are connected to teams, like people who write for teams specifically or whatever, or are on the team or whatever, that sending that 2-man pressure off the edge when Tua rolled out against the Jets, a lot of people frowned on that stuff because they were coming for Tua's head off. If y'all remember he did that rollout to the sideline to Laird on that throw.
Yeah.
They were coming for Tua on that, bro. They were sending the heat. And a lot of people were like, it's the end of the game. He's backed up against the red zone. What are you doing? The game's out of hand. and Greg Williams was coming for him, bro. And I talked to people who were like, I guess in the scouting community, and they were like, yo, that was kind of a dirty move, coaching move.
That was defensive football. Now that's division football, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's in the last 2 minutes of the game, bro.
Yeah.
It's a rookie quarterback in his first passing snap, and you're like, they wanted to kill him off. They wanted to kill him off. Here's the kicker,
bro. Here's the kicker, though. Yeah. You're right. It's a rookie quarterback, but he's not their rookie.
No, I get that, but Greg Williams, I want people to forget he's the one who had Bounty Gate.
The Bounty, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
that's just still in him.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think the Dolphins defense? I just wanted to bring up 3 points, but what do you think the Dolphins defense is going to do to Flacco or whoever the hell they're running? If they last time got 0 points on 15 drives, what do you think they're going to do this time around? You don't think they're picked off? Sorry?
Yeah, I would roll with the same game plan. My only problem last time was Frank Gore. Remember Frank Gore was pushing the ball against us. I was like, are you serious right now? Stop the run. Stop the run.
We got to get in the gaps, though, man. If you want, he can stay 3-4 based, right? Because I know that's the nature of the scheme right now. But we got to get in the gaps, man. He's gotta. We gotta command the gaps because without having a true nose tackle, man, we're giving up way too much, especially on drives where they're intentionally looking to stretch, right? And we're leaving 2 gaps. I saw a play yesterday where Philip, that boy name is, they're running back. Philip Lindsay, right?
Lindsay's a great.
He completely bypassed the 2 and the 4 gap to go outside to the 6 and the 8, right? He could have took the 6, but he went completely outside, and the 2 and the 4 were completely wide open because we didn't have anybody in there.
This man's throwing out the numbers instead of the alphabet. I love it, ball game.
Yeah, man.
Because you know what's funny? When I was, when I told you that when we used to run the wishbone and stuff, I was same thing. We didn't call A and B gaps. We, it was all numbers like what you're talking about right now. Especially because as a quarterback with run plays,
right.
the gap was in the run call, right?
Exactly.
So, anyways, no, you're 110% right, ball game. And here's another thing I wanted to ask you because I noticed it yesterday, and I wanted to see if you noticed it when you watched. Did you notice 2 things? One, every player on every level, whether you're a guard, a tackle, a tight end, or a receiver, they all finished their blocks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In different varieties, they used all different levels as lead blockers. Okay.
You're talking about the Broncos, right?
Yeah, the Broncos.
Yeah.
And did you notice the patience of Lindsay and Gordon running behind the blockers?
Yeah.
And they just because they were just fully confident everything was going to open up. That's how they were running. The confidence was oozing out of every run play, man. Yeah. And here's the other thing. Here's another thing. Not only could we not win a battle in the trenches ball game on either side of the football, they finished every block. I don't know if they had a missed block left on the field yesterday.
Yeah.
What would happen? Sorry, 1 second. What would happen if we faced them again in 1 week? Denver.
Same thing.
The same thing?
Yep. They're not going to do anything in the passing game against us, but against the run, if we ran out there with the same scheme, they do the same thing again.
No, obviously, if you run with the same scheme. I'm saying, do we have it in us with 1 week, knowing what we know now? And this is what the Jets, because it's going to be the same thing with the Jets as far as defensive. I know they don't have maybe the same exact personnel in the secondary, but I think their front 7 is going to provide the same type of pressure scheme-wise. And we're going to know if Tua can actually, with Gailey, if they can actually be smooth or if they're going to struggle again. But I'll tell you one thing about Tua is that this brother, the worst game I think he's had his entire career was with the Denver Broncos. I never seen him this bad his entire college career, never. His entire career, worst game, the brother never even threw a pick. That's who we're getting long term. in his worst game, you're still gonna be in games. So anybody who's shouting out like this guy's not the future, he's a bust, you have no idea about football whatsoever. If you keep your team in the game in your worst game, you are as good as it gets as far as potential. They just have to get the offensive line, get the weapons, get the chemistry. He's played 4 preseason games so far as scheduling. And you going off a hip injury that he hasn't played in a whole year, like you're going on the road, mile high. Come on, man. It's everything is okay. We just have to, but again, Chip Gailey might not be the guy long term, obviously, because you need to be a little bit exotic with your play calling, and you have to have guys believe in it so much that it's like smooth. I mean, what he was running in Alabama was smooth. He had the weapons, but he was smooth, right? You want to be smooth. You can't let him.
It was also way heavy RPO based than what we're running, because we're only running like I haven't looked at the all 22 yet. I haven't counted, but we're only running like 3 or 4 RPO plays a game. We're not running a ton of RPO. Like it's just pistol and a lot of I think we were running a lot of like 10 and 11 man personnel. But like I said at halftime, the adjustments should have been made. The success was being seen, especially in the run game, when we were in that 12-man personnel. I don't know why we weren't going heavy 12-man or just spreading them out wide with those empty sets, because look at Fitz getting the ball out, how quick he was able to get it out when they had him spread out wide, because like I said earlier, he had 21 snaps, 20 of them were pass snaps, so pass plays. Like 11 or 12 of them were out of like empty sets, like 0-0 personnel. Like I don't know, ball game. You just need more roll. Like you got a quarterback who me and you have broke down the all 22. We've seen the success he's had on rollouts and bootlegs. Right. How do you only have designed on 26 dropbacks? Only have 2 designed rollouts, bootlegs.
Bad game planning. It's all bad game planning. I think the first thing you do to eliminate a team being able to send an extra guy is you force them to have to defend every inch of the field. And I don't know why we didn't catch that early, because I mean they came out the gate with their scheme of trying to ensure that they got pressure on him. Right? It ain't no different. What we saw yesterday is no different than what happened last season when Washington came into town and they got after Josh. They sent 4, 5, sometimes even 6 people at the younger quarterback, and then when Fitz came in, they dialed back that whole scene because Fitz was able to actually get the ball out a lot faster. It's the same concept. That's seen across the league. You know what I mean? They don't think that, a lot of times younger quarterbacks have a little bit longer processing time. You know what I'm saying? Until they're a little more comfortable in the system. And with Gailey's dialed down, really dumbed down offense, he didn't have those reads because they jumped the routes. And our guys didn't get no separation. So you saw Tua. And it's sad to me to know that a kid that has that type of ability to get the ball out fast had to stand there and pat the ball because the receivers weren't open. And that pressure coming right down the pipe. I mean, come on. You got to get him out of there. You got to get him out onto the edges and make things happen for him. Otherwise, he was just a sitting duck back there.
I mean, ball game. Look at Tom Brady. Look at the struggles they had, especially at the end of the season when the defense stopped carrying them. That's a short to intermediate level, quick, rhythmic based offense in terms of the passing game. And guys couldn't create separation for him.
Right.
And offensively, they looked inept at times. And that was with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game and one of the best processors to ever play the game. Even he struggled, man. So I'm not saying this kid's Tom Brady. I'm just saying if a vet's going to struggle with guys who can't get separation in a similar offense to what we're trying to do, that short, intermediate stuff, what do you think a rookie in his fourth start's going to do, bro?
Exactly. He gotta stick to he's gotta, if nothing else, motion by itself keeps guys from actually being able to effectively be static and coming. You know what I mean? They have to honor that. The defense, even if it's a zone, you bring a guy across the motion. Now somebody's got to flex out with that guy. That's one less guy in the box. You know what I mean? He's got all sorts of ways that he can make sure that Tua has an opportunity, or even the O-line has an opportunity to identify the fifth guy. But if you ain't using motion, they just get the tee off. They don't have to show, they don't have to change anything. They can stay. They can send that. They can send the initial 4, bring the fifth guy late, which is some of what they did yesterday, and they're gonna get there because we can't pick up tech stunts, which is crazy to me. Tackle and end stunts are by far, the easiest to pick up if you block inside outside, which is why I don't understand why it was so hard for them to do that. You taking 2 guys to go after 1 guy, and you leaving the inside open. You never leave the inside open. And each side is always supposed to be blocked first, and then you worry about what's coming on the outside. And hell, if nothing else, the guy coming from the outside, you let him take the long trip around.
Yeah, because then you just step up.
Fuck him, but you protect inside first. You feel me?
And then you just step up and climb the pocket.
I don't understand it, man. They're in the NFL and they block. It's like watching Pop Warner ball, bro.
I know, bro.
Do you know why?
Because you're right, bro. Because if he's arced out wide, even if he beats his man, you know
how easy it is to get there.
Yeah, and you know how easy it is for a quarterback to just
step up.
You just step up, climb a little bit, and it's over, buddy. The threat's disintegrated, basically, man.
That's crazy to me, man.
In the second quarter, in the red zone, when he had to throw it away, Tua had to throw it away because the what's his name? Our left guard, I forgot the guy's name.
Flowers,
right. He actually let the blitzer just count on by, like he completely gave up on him because Karras slid to the right side because that was the design of the play. They were supposed to throw it to our running back Ahmed, but then what happened?
They should have all been stepping to the same way together to catch up the traffic. Leave the backside guy alone.
It was a bad design because they all decided to shift, and then Ahmed's play went dead. And that defense was on us one step ahead the whole time. Yeah. And then you had the stupid referees were bailing them out at times. The referees from both sides, they were doing an atrocious game. The penalties were atrocious on both sides throughout the game. You have that combination. You have the combination of the third quarter when we just defensively couldn't, even though we forced a 4 and out on them on the drive after like 7 minutes they had. Then we had a 3 and out. And then again they had the ball for a long time. So we never had no freaking rhythm at all in the second half until Fitz got in. It was just forget it, man. The game is over. Okay. It's good learning experience for him because he was getting a bit high. He was saying the wrong things. People were interpreting them to be the wrong things as far as media, because that's what they like to play all the time. That just got you marks, right? Even though he probably didn't mean those, and they were meant to be harmless. But he mentioned that the league is easy. He mentioned that the league is easy, and then they jumped on him for that. But the thing is, it's done. Like that, I'm not worried one bit. I see the potential every single time he has the ball. This kid, he's special. He just has to be in a good flow. Yeah. And he has said it again with my battery's going to die here if I cut off, but he said it again about Chip Gailey. He's like, me and him, we just got to get on the same page, right? So, again, 4 preseason games. Technically, now the regular season starts, right? So, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, man. Just give me your final thoughts anyways, because I'm going to be closing it out. All right, we lost him. He is done. Shout out to you, Ardit. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you, man. So it's just me and Ball Game, and once Ball Game gets here, guys, we'll probably wrap it up. I don't really fall into under the, I can't. If you have to blame the refs, you didn't do enough to win. Just like when it comes down to one play, if you're blaming your loss on one play, you didn't make enough plays to win. I can give the refs making bad calls, cool, but I can never shoulder a loss fully on the refs. That DPI against Gesicki in the Patriots game that they didn't call. Was it the Patriots game or the Buffalo Bills? I think it was the Patriots game, right? I blame the refs for that because and we could have tied that game up. But if it comes to a DPI that the refs didn't call, you didn't do enough to win. So, I can never be that guy who starts pointing the blame. At the end of the day, you control your own fate. That's why when you're a couple of games away from the end of the season and you're in that 8th seed, 7th seed, and you're fighting for that last playoff spot, that's why they say teams control their fate. And I'll stick to it again. We cannot deny how efficient we've been in the red zone. And, I said to you guys earlier, the 5-man pressure, that 5+ man pressure stopped when Fitz came in. It's because it started spreading them out. And we didn't do a good enough job of that with Tua. And you have them under center. You're not spreading them out enough. It was just a recipe for disaster when you add in the poor blocking. And I think Ballgame's right with that blocking inside out, man. Worry about the inside because that's where these gaps are getting shot. And so, I mean, it is what it is. All I can say, guys, is things are going to get better. Nothing lasts forever. We weren't going to win out the rest of the season. I know a lot of us wanted us to go into this game against the Chiefs 9-3, but hey, we can still go into that game 8-4, and I'll take that. So, you just got to keep the faith. Things are going to get righted, hopefully, because this offensive line is going to need to perform at a much better and higher level than it has if we make it to the playoffs. And our trench play, especially in the run defense, needs to be a lot better if we're going to make the playoffs and be successful in the playoffs as well. A lot of people are forgetting this is a rookie. A lot of people aren't taking the play calling, the offensive line play, the lack of weapons, and basically the overall horizontal then vertical scheme of this offense compared to what a guy like Herbert or Burrow was playing when they're down most of the time. I mean, I just showed you Tua is averaging about 23 attempts per game, where Herbert's out here averaging 38.89 attempts per game. So, I mean, it is what it is, guys. And he's in a more vertical-based offense right now. And we can all agree they got better weapons at his disposal, and they've got a retooled offensive line. So, it is what it is. We're just going to have to move on. Right now, I'm telling you, this is why we keep being consistent that we're in this rebuild. We still need that nose tackle. We need interior linebackers. We need help on the offensive line, and we need a running back as well as natural separators with yak ability in the receiving core. So I've just given you a quick list of needs, and it's not very short if you actually put it together, right? I mean, and then if you want to go longer the list, we don't have any depth at the safety position. So, I mean, right off the top, I've identified, offensive line, wide receiver, nose tackle, linebacker, interior specifically, that we need to get better at right now. And offensive line is multiple positions, not one. So, that's why they say we're in the middle of a rebuild. And at this point, we could use a tight end who's consistent. So, I mean, you guys will see. If you guys come back tomorrow night, we'll be going live around 9:30, and we'll break down every single drop back from the All-22 of Tua Tagovailoa. We'll go over that for you guys so you can see. So you guys can see exactly what we see. Hey, what's going on, buddy? So you guys can see exactly what we see, and we can break it down. Ball game. Before we get out of here, I just want to see if you can give everyone some final thoughts and what your thoughts on the Tua benching was.
I think they panicked. To be honest with you, I think under the circumstance, he was just looking for a spark, though. So he was hoping maybe Ryan could come back in and give him a spark to get things going, things of that nature. I've seen it happen a million times before. My thing is, I like the fact that Tua actually got out in front of it and just said, he understood that, he was trying to get a spark going, and he's all about the team, right? So his individual success and things of that nature don't matter if the team ain't winning. So I'm okay with that. I just there's a long period of time left in that game, and he probably still could have got something going. But I don't know. Do I agree with it? To some degree, yes. To some degree, no. As a coach, I always feel like if my guy is off early, then he probably not gonna get on late.
Especially when the pressure starts coming too.
Pressure starts dialing up. So yeah, I mean, once they saw it early on, they probably should have done it. And the game might be different. You never know. But then you still give Fitz the opportunity to come in and throw the ball around more and make more mistakes. And as you saw, we had a chance to tie it up late, and he still threw it away. You know what I mean? So, but it is what it is. I just want people to take into consideration still that he's still a kid, man.
No.
Right? I mean, he's not playing against other kids anymore. He's playing against grown ass men in the NFL who do film study for, as a part of their perfecting their craft, and teams gonna be ready for you. And at this point now, I mean, he's realizing that we just gotta do the best job possible of providing him with all the resources he needs to be successful. That O-line got to get better. We got to bring some other pieces in to help him, on this offense, and defense they got to figure out how to stop the run, right? I mean, the defense is out there giving up points. We can't expect this kid to come back out there with an in-depth offensive line and manufacture points when the other team's defense is dialed up and they know exactly how to beat you or how to attack you because your guys can't pick up a tech stunt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta be realistic too. I still say, and I'm gonna stick by this, it's the rebuild, right? So in the rebuild, there are gonna be these games that they just ain't gonna look pretty. Like a team just really, truthfully, even though we probably, vast majority of us to some degree, because I had us saying if we went out and played like we were supposed to play, 35-14, but shit, the Broncos had another thought. They still professionals. And I gotta respect the fact that them dudes got up to play with us in their building. Yeah, our secondary still had an amazing job. They still did an amazing job of not giving up anything to their receiving core. But that front seven, shit, they need to be in them gaps because we got bludgeoned up front.
Big time.
Lindsey and Melvin Gordon had their way with us, and a lot of teams are gonna look at that too going forward. So if we do get the benefit of the doubt and get into the playoffs and, get a spot, you can expect to see a lot of teams late, especially with the weather shifting, they're going to be looking to run the rock. And we can't fix that now. If we can't get if we can't stop them now, you can't expect them to stop them late.
Agreed.
So,
and you know what? And
stop calling that kid a bus too, for those of you out there tripping. Ain't no bus.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro. I mean, you already know this. I mean, when people say that, they tell on themselves in terms of their aptitude and actually knowledge of the game and the nuances of the game inside the game, right? Like Facts. They tell on themselves when they say that kind of stupid-ish. I mean, the guy continues to not show me they don't count, so I don't want to hear about what ifs in terms of interceptions. The man still doesn't turn the ball over. So I don't know if you saw earlier, but when I compared his first 4 games to Russell, to Ben, to Burrow, I had about 5 names on there, and he was the only one with a passer rating over 100. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, this kid is people just whatever. But when you talk about the benching, I mean, it was clearly, we talked about this ball game, right? Like I noticed something last week in terms of, I said this to you, he was missing throws last week where it was like those were gimme throws, and then he pops up this week with, the foot injury. I don't know whether it's his lead foot or his planting foot. I would guess it's his lead foot because his accuracy is off, right? So that's what I would guess. But I mean, he was off early on. You look on that 2nd and 6 route that he missed to Parker on that dig, right? Like that raised my eyebrows. And here's another thing, ball game. You look at how badly he missed on the deep shots. That's not. You've watched the film. I didn't. That's not him. That's not him. So, yeah. He was off early on. Again, I don't know whether it's that foot or whatever, but he wasn't able to settle in because of it. He wasn't able to get comfortable. And then on top of that, the constant pressure, it was evident it was affecting his sense of the pocket and his presence in it. You know,
Right.
he's becoming a little bit antsy. Yeah, the coverage down the field was decent at times too. So he was patting the ball. You know, and you know, I say this to people, you know, we saw JT, we saw Cam Wake. We saw what they did when they got consistent and constant pressure on a guy like Tom Brady. What do you think it's going to do to a guy 4 games into his career? The run game wasn't utilized properly. 17 carries is inexcusable in a game where at most you were down by 10 and you only lost by 7, and Salvon Ahmed is averaging 3.5 yards per carry. I don't want to hear it. Inexcusable, man. Inexcusable. Right. Okay. We were not keeping them honest. We were playing predictable in terms of play calling. That factored in. Gailey's situational play calling continues to be a head scratcher. Most of the time, he isn't overly helpful to our QB, whether it's been Tua or Fitz. And I think all these things, and you add in the 21 pressures, 19 if you want to take away the 2 that Tua apparently allowed, 19 pressures and 5 sacks, 13 hurries, like 7 hits. Dude, that's going to rattle any rookie, let alone, that's going to rattle any veteran, let alone a rookie, man. And do I agree with Flores' decision? No, but I get it. You've got a young QB who's feeling the pressure and getting hit to the point. We know it would rattle a vet like Brady, like I said, and they wanted to see if the 15-year-old vet could make something happen out of nothing with a terrible offensive line. And let's be honest. Do you think it was a coincidence ball game that he just happened to be pulled after that hit from Chubb at the hip, just below the hip? No.
Yeah.
Flores talked about a couple weeks ago, remember before he started, about how he looks at these guys as his kids. He wants to protect them. He's overly protects them. Dude, we all held our breath ball game. What do you think the coaching staff, the team that's invested in him did? They're like, this kid's getting beat up there. The offensive line is no help. The offensive play calling is no help right now. Right. Get him out. See what we can get going with Fitz. That's why Flores didn't hesitate and came back right after the game and told everyone Tua's the starter next week. There's no change. I mean, the fact of the matter is Flores realized with how the game plan was going, how the offensive line was playing, how the receivers were playing in front of him, he was not in a position to be successful. Take him out. That's all it was. Right. And, I'll say Gailey didn't use 12-man personnel enough, like I said in the half, to keep using it because we're seeing success. He's not spreading the D out with empty sets heavy until Fitz came in when that could have helped Tua. The bootlegs and the rollouts and the quick slants, the quick routes could have helped Tua, but we weren't getting that. We just weren't doing any favors for the kid, and he suffered for it. So it is what it is. You take the loss. You take it on the chin, you move on to the Jets, and you better be prepared, and you better believe that they're
Greg Williams going to do the same thing.
Exactly. You better be prepared for the same exact thing, because all Vic Fangio did was Greg Williams' blueprint against our offensive line and turned it up a notch.
That's it.
Because Greg Williams installed those adjustments for one half, the second half.
Yep.
Vic Fangio had the whole game.
Yeah.
So, and Greg Williams about to have the whole game. So, y'all best be prepared. And Jesse Davis being on COVID, Robert Hunt, you best play the best game of your life on Sunday, because you'll be protecting potentially the right side and the blind side of our franchise, and we need better results. But me and Ball Game will be back tomorrow night, guys. Again, between probably 9:30, closer probably till 9. We'll be back with that all-22 breakdown of Tua Tagovailoa, because it's Tua's day on Finside the NFL. But until then, y'all already know what time it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day. Appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you guys are in a good mood. Stay stay level-headed, guys. We'll make it through it. Trust me. And in a year, we'll be laughing about this, and we'll be laughing at all the people that were trying to tell you he's a bust, or did we make the right decision, or should we move on? Trust me on that one. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Stay happy, healthy.